Boom, hello and welcome to the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast, Season 2. With your host, Byron Rodgers. This podcast is dedicated to the executive protection practitioner, the private security professional. In this podcast, we're going to talk about the mental, emotional, psychological, physiological fitness that goes into being an efficient and effective executive protection agent. Whether you're in law enforcement, whether you're a mom that's looking at how to protect her children, or a father that's focused on how to protect his family, I believe this podcast has something for all of you. We might even get into some tales from the crypts of true Hollywood stories from time to time. I'm doing this podcast because I feel the reality of this job is simple. If you really want to be good at executive protection, it's more than just a job. It really is a lifestyle. And those of you who've been in the game for any serious amount of time, you already know what I'm saying is true. So if that sounds interesting to you, enjoy the show. Out. Boom! What's up, you guys? Byron Rodgers here with another episode of the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast. This is going to be a special episode. I got my main man, Sandile Khanyile, here with me, hanging for this episode. And this is like, in a way, it's like a homecoming. Because me and call sign Sandals, we call them Sandals in the streets, right? But me and my main man Sandals, we go way back, man. We go way back to like the beginning. So what's up, brother? How you doing?
Bro, Byron, man, I'm good. I'm good. Well, the privilege to be, man. Thank you for hosting me. I don't even know where to start. I mean, how do you start something like this? I think it's so organic. It's so natural, man. Like we go way back. Like, bro, like you were there at the beginning, but we'll touch on that later on.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. It's like, for me, it's crazy because, I've had all these ideas the whole time I've been in the industry, and now for like stuff to be happening and then, for me to be able to circle back around and for us to have this conversation is special, brother. Yeah, I mean, just for everyone listening, me and Sandals have gone all around the world together. We've worked the same clients. This is one of my dudes that was with me when I was trying to figure everything out. I gotta have you tell the story about when you first met me. Once we get through the intro questions a little bit, just so people can see how crazy the game was, man. And we worked some good principles together. So I always open the podcast with this question, brother. Who are you at your core? As we go, we always bring it to the core first.
Bro, you I was thinking about that question because I watched that podcast, right? So I know that the question is coming up, but it's like, how do you prepare for an answer like that? I think at the core, I think I like to call myself, I think, the rookie in the game, right? In the sense that I think in every detail that I've ever been part of, ever since we met way back in 2010, believe it or not.
Wow.
Like I've always been either the youngest dude, the least experienced dude, right?
Yeah.
Also size-wise, the smallest dude. So I'm always doing the runarounds when it comes to any operation, bro, right? Like, so I think rookie is the best way I think to describe myself right now, also where I am. But I mean, that might change, in a couple of years, who knows?
Yeah, but it's beautiful to see you still have that perspective, because me and you, you said, we met in 2010?
Well, in fact, okay, I don't know if this is the time to start the story, right?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
The first time I was actually, I guess, exposed even to the industry, bro, believe it or not, right, was when you guys came out to South Africa in 2010.
Okay.
So before that, even 4 years after that, I was like a corporate guy, like strictly corporate, wake up in the morning, normal hours, just doing life. And then I was involved in church. I used to volunteer at church and stuff like that, conferences and everything. And then it just so happened, that a speaker that was coming through that needed some assistance, in church. And it just so happened that, I'm like, wait a second. What world is this, right? And then bro, and then I think that was when I got exposed to the game. And then from then on, my corporate life went on. And I'm saying, bro, I'm a rookie in the game because the way that I got in, like, I won't say that I found myself in. I really believe I was called into the game, bro. Right? No, bro. Like
everybody who was in our
believes
crew
the code
was
right?
no. Everyone in our crew was called to the game. Like, you didn't survive. You just didn't survive. Like, you were there for 2 minutes, and then you were like, "This is so." There's the door. Because if you weren't called, you were done training. It was. It just was the way it was.
Oh, but B, like, I think my calling was literal, bro. No, since that, right? My background is church security.
Yeah.
To kind of know, right? But so literally, bro, I was in a youth meeting. It was 2008, right? Volunteering at church. So a couple of years before, I think about 2 years before, like our pastor, the original pastor, left the church, and he used to have like this mini, team, 2-3 dudes. They just used to assist him. He'll come to the church, make sure he's got his water, his car is parked, and stuff like that. And I was sitting right in the back. I'm just like, I love what these guys are doing, right? So then when the pastor left, the new pastor had nobody to assist him. So I went and I asked the staff member, like, hey, can I just help him out? I saw what the other guys are doing, and I help him out. She's like, okay, cool. The guy drops me on board. I just start helping out. A year later, I'm in a youth meeting, bro. Like, God's glory is there. Things that are flowing, bro. The pastor calls me and he's like, man, like, there's just something about you in serving. And I'm telling you, it's going to go international. This is 2008. I'm thinking, what does that mean, right? Fast forward 2 years later, it just so happened that from work, I was on leave. It so happened that it was a conference at church. It so happened that, well, you were part of that team, right? Yeah. And this was in 2010, but I didn't meet you in 2010 though, right? I only met you, I think, in 2013. You already been in South Africa, but 2 or 3 times before that.
Yeah.
But what people don't know and what nobody knows is that for those 2-3 years when you guys used to come through, bro, like, I used to save up money during the year, right? I'm like, okay, well, Byron and the homeboys or whoever and the homeboys. I mean, I was actually in touch with your event organizer, right? I'm sure you remember who it was back then.
Yeah.
And he would be like, hey, bro, we're coming to South Africa. Are you available to help? I'll be like, sure thing. So I'll save up my own money, find my own flights to Joburg, to Cape Town and stuff like that, right?
I remember you talking about that in passing.
He thought I worked for the church. I'm like, no, bro, I just love what you guys are doing. I just want to serve.
Wow.
At some point, your event organizer thinks I work for the church. The church, you guys, I'm like, wait, I don't work for anybody. I just love the game. I just love serving. Bro.
Oh, this is so good.
Bro, at some point, I was so broke. I remember I flew to Cape Town, right?
Yeah.
I hired for you guys. I had no accommodation, bro. I stayed in the vehicle for 2 days.
What the heck? Are you serious, my dude? I didn't even know you could have slept in my room, bro.
Bro, I would take the vehicle, bro. I would go park it somewhere, bro. I would sleep. In the morning, I'll work out. I'll go find something to eat, or I'll go to pick you guys up at 5 o'clock. Let's go. The game is rolling, right? So when I say, bro, I'm called to the game, that's how I literally started.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going on a lot. And then in 2013, right, you were going to land with the principal in Cape Town, to be specific, right? The rest of the team was going to land about 2 hours before you guys. We were going to pick up vehicles, then wait for you guys to stage the vehicles. So it just so happened that their flights got delayed. And then you and the principal landed first, right? Bro, I remember the look on your face. You walked through, you just like, what are you doing here? I'm like, bro, I don't know. Bro, literally, I'm just like, something within me. I'm serious, but like something within me just stop, take the vehicles, put them there, and just wait. So I staged the vehicles, so the guys at the airport are like, who are you? I'm just like, you guys don't know me, but just trust me. I just need vehicles, just put them here. I won't touch them. I'm waiting for somebody. I know nothing. I just know they're coming through. So you will the principal. I think there was about 3 other guys there. The vehicles are there. You just, what are you doing? I'm just, hey, sup, bro. So, and I remember, I think I handed you the car keys. You just like, no, bro, you driving. I'm like, bro.
I was like,
I don't know the city.
Yeah, homie.
I'm like, bro, I don't know the city. Bro, I remember.
I just got the plane.
So, bro, I flipped my iPad,
man.
I found the GPS coordinates for the hotel, and we rolled to the hotel, right? And then, bro,
Because I remember watching you put those coordinates in and being like, yo, homie. I remember being like, whatever you do, just do it smooth, man. Just do it smooth. I was like, okay. Oh,
so,
man.
you know, and then that's when I think you're like, you know, principal, this is, you know, Sandile. It's like, hey, Sandals, you know, he always help him like, hello, sir, you know, a bit of, you know, FaceTime. We go to the hotel. So I'm like, okay, bro, like, I'm out. You're like, what do you mean you're out, bro? You're going to be a what, driver for the next 3 days? I'm like, what? You're going to drive for the next 3 days?
I remember we landed, we didn't have anything, we didn't know nobody or anything. And I just remember seeing you and I was like, this dude's on the detail. Like I looked in your eyes, I was like, he's cool, we're cool. And I was like, we gotta, because I had to make a decision because I was like, homeboy's right behind me. We gotta make this work. I'm like, this is my guy. And we just had to roll with it, man.
So, bro, that's why I was saying, yeah, that's why I really believe I was called into it. And then from there, I mean, the rest is history. I'm sure we can touch on that. I think.
Yeah, man. No, I love that story because it shows kind of like you can do all your advances and you do all your stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you can do all the best you can. Now, granted, that time in our lives was chaotic anyways, but it also right. It also shows the reality. You know, you go to these schools and we talk about advances and we talk about all this like work that you have to do to get your plan. And then it can all just go to crap, you know, like I was, you know, in that time, you know, I was doing advances sometimes an hour and a half before the client got to a country, 3 hours. If we were lucky, sometimes nothing at all. You just land and you got to figure it out on the move. You got to do it good enough to where the client's not looking at you like you're incompetent because you've never been there before and you put, you know, and you're figuring it out, you know. But
and I think with that, bro, I think at that stage, I think, you know, of your life, I think the client also so crewed up in terms of advance work. I remember, I think the first time I heard the term, it was in the car with him. He's like, hey, who's advancing this city? And I think somebody replied like, oh, it's so and so. He's like, okay, just make sure he does a good job. I'm just thinking, he knows exactly what everybody's doing.
Yeah, man. And then you have to do a good, and then it adds more accountability, you know. So it's pretty, I don't know. I just every time you tell that story, because I kind of forgot about it because it was just like everything's just going so fast in that part of life, you know. It always takes me back, man, because I remember landing at that FBO. I remember looking out the window. I remember knowing that I had no one on the ground. And I remember just being like, this is what we do. This is what we do. We're going to figure it out. That's what we do. Like having to psych myself up. And I just remember being like, all right, let's do it. Popped out of the thing. I'm like, you know, sir, just wait here for a moment while I grab the cars. Get to the bottom of the plane. Like, where are the cars? Yo, this dude looks cool. He looks cool. And then I remember someone said to me in a text or something like, I think it was like, the guys, we're not able to get there, but your cars are there and there's someone from the church. And I was like, okay, cool. This is my dude from the church. There was nobody there. There was nobody.
I'm the guy from the church, bro.
Right? Exactly. And there was like no one anywhere. And I was like, well, this better be my guy. Yeah, man. Good times.
Yeah.
Man. And that's
it happened, bro.
Yeah, man. That's like the beginning. That whole season was crazy.
Yep.
You know, and it's kind of counterintuitive because everybody wants to be on these, like, I don't know, I feel like people want to be like on these celebrity details or these really hardcore details. But I'll say that time and the stuff we worked back then was probably the most intense, difficult, hands-on. I went hands-on more doing that than I did bouncing. You know, like more just, you had to be so good at so many different things that it really prepared me.
Bro, and
everything else was easy after that.
And I think the thing with that, you know, Byron, is, I mean, I'm not what title you're gonna put, I mean, you know, for this episode kind of thing. But the difficulty with that type of security is not only, you're not just working with the principal, right? But you're working with him in different, I'll say, energies, for lack of a better word, in different spheres. One moment he's here, one moment he's here, one moment he's here. So as the agent, at some point, you've got to remember, look, I am doing security, but I'm serving. But at some point, I'm not serving, now I'm doing hard security. At some point, he doesn't, you know, really want me to do security. He wants me to take care of him as an individual, right? Yeah. And for me, honestly, bro, that type of work has been the toughest I've ever done my whole life. Anything I do now, I use that as a reference point. I'm just like, piece of cake. I'm like, I'm like, wait, okay, you guys are complaining. The client's schedule has changed. He said we're leaving at 8 p.m. Now he wants us there at 7. Like, I've been ready from 5.
Yeah, and you guys are dying
hanging
over
out.
here.
Like, what do you guys mean you're not ready?
It's so nice to talk to someone from that time, because I'm in the game now, and everybody's all like, I can't believe these clients, or I can't believe this, that, that's it. I'm sitting here like, y'all don't know, like, you got no idea. Like, this is a slow Tuesday, homie. You know, like,
bro, like for me, that reference point, like, it's just like everything else I've done after that, for the lack of better, it's easy.
It's so easy.
The hours are shorter. Like, bro, like I've worked on like 3-hour dates. Like, we're tired. I'm like, what do you mean? I used to stand for hours.
100%.
Anything else, like stand and then aggressively work for like 30 minutes. It's like a pig, and then stand again for another 30 minutes. And then you in the back room, you're not eating, you're hungry, your client is having a great time. Next thing you see, bro, it's like 2 a.m. You're like, wait, be back here at 7, right? And he's like, yeah
you do.
And you do that for 3 days in a row.
Yeah, man. Nah, yeah. Or even, like the dudes that go on tour, I'm like, oh, you're on tour. Man, that must be tough. Because, in our realm, there's no tour, homie. This is a way of life. We on tour all year long, homie. The only difference is you get new plastics as the year change. You get new little plastics.
But that's tour.
Yeah, man. I'm like, tour. Oh, it's going to be a tough 3 to 6 months. That's horrible. Yeah, man. That was 7 years of getting after it. It was good, man. And it's the truth. Everything else after that has been like, oh no, we cool. Okay, what do you want? All right, easy. It's I mean, the Marine Corps and that experience got me ready for everything, man. And it's cool, the calling thing is really important too, man. That's and for me too, I feel like I was called as well. I got plucked out of, I feel like God told me to go here. You'll meet someone that'll bring you into the game, and then boom,
bro, even I remember the first time I heard your story, I'm just like, hold up, bro. Like, our stories are relatively similar, but you served, your country. Looking back, I'm like, my biggest regret in life is I was never exposed to this at a younger age, right? I was only exposed to, I was really like in corporate, I think for about 3-4 years, the first time I tasted this, right? Mm-hmm. And bro, then in 2013, I just in my heart of hearts, I just knew, okay, I've got 1 more year in corporate, and then I just need to really plug myself out there. And literally, I just knew God is gonna make a way, right? February 2014, bro, I relocated to Cape Town, and I had to tell my boss, like, bro, I'm done. He's like, what do you mean you're done? I'm like, here's my resignation letter. Thank you. He's like, there's nothing wrong. I'm like, yeah, in fact, I love my job. Like, bro, I was in corporate, I was in a shipping company. I worked in 7 years in 3 different roles, started in customer service, then moved over like a sales role at some point. Then when I left, I was in sales, handling my own clients. I'm like, bro, I love my job, but just right now, I'm called to do something else, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I had no clue how I'm going to get in the industry. I just that this is what God is calling me to do, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward about a year later, I'm just like, dang, this thing is not working out, right? But
of course, right?
I'm supposed to do it, bro. I go back home to Durban. I'm just like, excuse my language, I'm just like, shit. Do now with my life, right, bro? Next thing, I'm like, okay, since this secrecy thing is not working out right now, but default, I'm like, okay, I need to survive. Okay, what do I know? Okay, I know fitness. I've been doing that for a couple of years. I started, so a couple of just like, bro, you local, let's start training together. Like, we'll pay you. I'm like, okay, great. Okay, so people started paying me for training now. I'm like, okay, awesome. So, but while I'm doing that, I'm like, okay, let me just get something in semi-corporate just to keep the bills going, right? So I do that. And then my local church sees me every Sunday just hanging out, like just another guy, gets up, sitting in the aisle as if I'm working, right? And then I get a call.
You can't not. It's like a reflex for us.
Bro, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle, son. Yeah, right.
It gotta be a lifestyle, bro. Like I said to my dudes, like, this is not an event. This is not something I go and do. This is what I do with me first on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, this is how I live my life.
So I'm sitting in the church, instead of, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I start seeing how things flow. So next thing I got a call, it's like, yo, man, like the senior pastor and the CFO want to see you. I'm thinking, what have I done?
Yeah.
Right. So I leave work. I'm like, yeah, I got to see somebody. Get there, bro. They're sitting in the meeting like, bro, we didn't know you're back in Durban. I'm like, yeah, I'm back. And guess what? Now they use you guys as a reference point. They're like, wait, didn't you work for Byron's team? I'm just like, oh, Byron's team thought I worked for you guys.
Yeah, you're like, I mean, if that works for you.
I'm like, if it works for you, they're like, wait, but you like, are you still doing the security thing? I'm like, yeah, I got back home because I just really believed what then they're like, okay, well, come through, work for the church, head up the security team at the church, and we'll pay you for it. It's like, wait, you mean you're gonna pay me?
Church is paying to do what, a big thing.
To do what I'm called to do. So, bro, so there I kind of plug into it, right? And then, oh man, as God has it, guess what? I think about a year and a half later, the same client is back in my country, right? But things have changed, right? I'm just like, wait, I'm the guy who volunteers, right? No one calls me, like I make things happen. If I want to be part of something, I make the phone calls. Bro, I think I just went around thinking, okay, who do I call just to confirm that, the client is coming through? I finally got hold of somebody. Guess what, bro? Next thing, so financially, I'm still a bit, because I remember I haven't worked for a while. I call a friend of mine, I'm saying, bro, I need to get to Joburg. I need to volunteer for something. He's like, bro, I literally have enough money to get you to Joburg. I don't know how you're going to get back. I'm just like, homeboy gives me his credit card. I pay for a ticket. I get to Joburg. I'm thinking, wait a second. Okay, I'm in contact with somebody on the client's team. The client knows nothing about me. Remember, he hasn't seen me in 2-3 years, right? Even then, we've never spoken really, except for hi and bye. Right. So I get somebody, I'm like, bro, like, I'm here, I need to volunteer to help you guys. He's like, okay, cool. He's like, where you staying? I'm like, have you got a couch? He's like, in my hotel room. I'm like, yeah, bro. He's like, okay, cool, right? So next thing, now I'm staying in a hotel, right? It's better than sleeping in the car outside.
100%.
So next thing, bro, the church team comes through to pick up the clients. So the guy, they've got a nice setup, man. They've got a police escort. So the guy who's supposed to drive the limo, he's like, hey, man, like, I feel a bit intimidated to drive. Like, can you drive? I'm like, yeah, I can drive.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I'm like, yeah, I can drive. Bro. Next thing, I'm sitting in the same seat. I'm like, this is Cape Town 3 years ago. In my mind, I'm just like, kidding me. So next thing I'm driving, bro, we work the event, we come back. And then I sleep on one of the guys' couch. I'm like, it's a couch. It's more comfortable than a car.
You're like, I'm moving up.
Bro, I've got free food. I mean, what more do I want, right? I'm good.
Right.
So now the team is like, okay, well, now they're gonna move to the next destination, another city within the country. So I'm like, okay, no, cool, guys, let's do this. I get to the airport, so I'm like, okay, well, guys, I'm done. I'm gonna see you in Durban. They're like, what do you mean? Like, aren't you coming with us? I'm like, no, man, I got stuff to do in Durban, I got some stuff to handle. The truth is, bro, I didn't have enough money to get to the next city. Because remember, I'm the guy who gives up and volunteers, right? Yeah. So when on the looks at the client, is like, sir, can we take him with us? Bro, at that moment, the client is like, yeah, sure thing. Here, go buy a ticket. We're going with you right now. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you're going with us. No, come home, right? So meanwhile, I had packed just enough for one day. I'm like, wow, I've got no clothes. They're like, bro, just don't worry about that. You're here, right? I'm like, cool. I get to the next city. Guess what now? I'm the guy who's doing everything because I'm the local. I've got the local cell phone that works. So the locals can talk to me. The locals are thinking, I'm the AIC. I'm like, I guess I
am the AIC. Yeah.
So, bro, I had planned to leave home literally for 3 days. I ended up doing, I think, a 2-week tour that I hadn't planned for, right? Because I just said, look, I'm open to serving the game, man. Like, I'm the youngest guy. I want to learn. I've got interest in the game. And then what that sparked now that opened other doors for me. Next thing, he calls me from his home country. He's like, man, to Nigeria. I'm like, okay, so he's like, can you get a visa to come?
Yeah.
So at that moment, I'm working for the church. I'm just like, yes, sir. Because one thing I've learned, bro, when you're asked by certain people, like by clients in our industry, your default gotta be like a yes to show them confidence, maybe change it later. Because if you give them that hesitant no, they'll never trust you with anything.
They'll never touch you. Yeah, they'll never touch you again. Yeah. You
Right?
gotta step
So
into the door and then figure it out.
yeah, bro. I'm like, yes, I can get a visa to Nigeria. He's like, okay, let me know you got it. I'm thinking, a visa? I've never been out of the country.
Man, this is crazy, bro. Like, bro, just like watching the way you just like climb the thing, you know, because like for us, like I remember real quick, and then you go on with your story, but I remember for me, bro, I just remembered you had such a heart of service and you were so good. Like I knew, you know, Sandals would get it done. And I remember even being with that client back, you know, here in Cali or wherever we would be. I remember being like, yo, and anytime he mentioned you, I was like, nah, he's good. We got to get him out here. We got to get him on the team. Because I just remember anything we asked you to do, it was like magic, you know? And I was like, you legitimately served your way onto the team. Like legit, like that's how it worked.
Bro, like
100%. And everyone saw it, man. Everyone saw it. Everyone was like, yo, this guy has a heart for this. He's called to this.
Thanks, bro.
Everyone saw that, man. And so anytime you came up, everyone was like, he's good. Put him in, coach. Put him in, you know. So that's awesome.
Put him in, coach.
Man, I didn't know all this stuff, bro. Anyway, so continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes, no, cool, bro. You know, so he's like, okay, get a visa to Nigeria. I'm thinking, okay, now I can't tell him no because then he'll probably not call me again for another 6 months, right? So I'm like, yes, sir. So then I go to the office. I'm like, guys, I need to get to Nigeria, so I'm gonna be gone for a couple of days. I don't know when, as you knew, you know, the schedule can just change it. I'm like, at some point, I'm gonna get on a flight. I'm gonna get to Nigeria. Cool. So, you know, I end up, you know, of course, get online. How do I get a visa to Nigeria? I sort that out. Bro, like, so I think I was supposed to leave, I think on a Monday. I get to the airport, there's serious issues. I couldn't fly out. I get to the airport on Tuesday, there's some serious issues. I think I only flew out like a day later than, so I got to Nigeria after the client. He's like, oh, you finally made it. I'm like, well, yeah, yes, sir. You asked me to be here and I'm here. Sorry, I'm a bit late. We had some issues, no problem. And then at some point, he's like, hey, come, let's just talk, right? Oh, sorry, I forget. In Durban, before Nigeria, Durban, so the guy who was doing connector, he got sick, bro, because of the time difference, right? So I'm rolling with the rest of the guys, man. I get a phone call from the client. He's like, wait, where are you? Because remember, bro, I'm the guy that's there, but it's not formal. Nobody knows where am I.
You're just like the volunteer of the year.
I'm just there, bro, right? Because that's how much I think I just allowed serving, right? So he's like, where are you? I'm like, oh, sir, I'm with the other guys. He's like, wait, you mean you slept at the hotel with the other guys? I'm like, yes. He's like, how did you guys make the arrangement? I'm like, sir, we guys. He's like, you mean there's 4 of you in one room? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like,
you got me.
I'm like, sir, it's what we do. He's like, I need your help. So when he says, I need your help, I'm thinking, I'm like, yes. He's like, well, so-and-so is not feeling too well. Help him in the connector, but he's struggling. Would you mind getting your luggage and coming to help me in my connector? I'm just like,
oh.
I'm like, yes, sir. So, bro, I even remember the hotel, bro. I'm rolling down the hallway. I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm supposed to do to connector, but whatever it is, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, right? And I'm going to do a good job at it because you always do.
All I know is answer your phone when it rings. I'm like, that's good enough. If I can stay 24 hours for the next 3 days and answer my phone, I'm sure I'll do a good job, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, those teething problems, okay, what do I do? Do I sleep? Do I really fall asleep? What if I miss my, the phone call? And so, bro.
Yeah, no, it's real, man. It's real.
These are the things that nobody wants to talk about, right?
Exactly, man. That's
because in our industry, bro, everybody is the hard ass, I
toughest
can 100 yards person. I've got to face, I've been to jail, and I everybody. I'm like, that's good and well, but that's not gonna get you FaceTime with a client.
Right. Yeah. It's not going to keep you on the detail. Like they might brag about you one time. And then after that, everything has to do with your relationship.
Bro,
How
and
you do your
sometimes
job.
even that reference to you, it's like, that idiot beat somebody up. But you're like, wait, do it, you're gonna get hurt.
Yep. Yep. Real talk,
Whatever it
man.
is.
Real
Right.
talk.
So
Real talk.
I find myself in the connector. We worked an event. I think we get back, I think around 1 a.m. He's like, hey, can you organize me some food? I'm like, of course, sir. Meanwhile, I'm thinking it's 1 a.m. I call the hotel. I'm like, I need your help. I ordered some sandwiches. So he's there, bro, eating. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, hey, would you mind just coming to sit at the table and eat with me? I'm like, I've been called from the servants' quarters into the king's court, bro. I'm like, this is what's power, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm here. I'm like, it's happening. I'm like, of course, sir. Thank you for the privilege. Thank you for the honor. So we ate. I cleaned up his table. Protect. We do clean up tables afterwards, right? We're not just right, bro. So I clean up the table, and he's like, "You're very helpful. Thank you." I'm like, "Thank you, sir." So that moment, bro, of just that service, when he needed something in Nigeria, I was like his only reference point in Africa to contact.
Right.
Like, respectfully, he could not contact anybody else. So I get to Nigeria. Once again, I find myself in the connect. It's like, wait, what are you doing here? Because I think it dawned for him, like, wait, actually, I don't really know this guy. He's like, then I tell him my story, which is pretty much what I'm telling you.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, then from here, I'm going to Israel. Can you come with me? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, okay, at home, I told him I'm coming back like in 2 days. Israel is going to be another 5 days. I'm like, yes, sir. Okay,
that's how you do business. That's how you do business.
Bro, he's like, hold up. He gets on the phone call. He's like, hey, when I take, this guy with me to Israel, how much is the flight? He's like, okay, stick him in our plane to Israel. Bro, next thing, I'm like, this rural boy who grew up walking barefoot, herding cattle and goats, is like flying to Israel to do something. But at that moment, mind you, I had never been to an EP school, just by the way.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything formal. So right now, I've just been serving my way.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, they serving. I mean, yo, my man served his way into a career, into a position, man. That's amazing.
Next thing, I'm in Israel. I'm thinking, here I am. We worked, detail. And then next thing from Israel is like, look, like, there's just something about you, man. Like, everybody in the team just seems to gel with you.
Yeah.
Do you want to come to the US for a while? I'm thinking, what do you mean, do you want to come to the US? Like, you say that in my mind. I'm thinking you say that next door.
Yeah, like it's so casual. Like, this isn't a big deal or something.
He's like, well, look, I'm actually going for for some work in Hawaii. And, then I'll be spending just, 1 or 2 days just relaxing. If you can come, make it, let me know. I'm like thinking, I've got to find a way to get to the US, right? And bro, see what like American citizens don't understand is how easy it is for you guys to travel the world because of the passports. Like for us here, bro, like South Africa, I think your passport is probably ranked in like the top 3 most favorable passports in the world. Okay. South Africa is like in the bottom, I think 20. Really? So every country, bro, not every country except for like your small islands, but first world countries, you gotta apply for visas, and that's a process, right? It's a serious process. You get interviewed, you get screened, like, and he doesn't care about that. He's like, can you get to the US? So I can't have problems. Like, sir, well, my dog is gonna be ill. I gotta take it to the vet. Visa decline. He doesn't care, right? So I'm like,
you guys, hey, real quick. For everybody listening, y'all better be paying attention to these little jewels my man's dropping because they are the truth, son. I'm just like, this is a class right now in surviving in the game. How to climb, acts of service. Never don't say yes and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Say yes and figure it out, man. This is good stuff. And it just shows the power of being humble and willing to do anything you want to get what it is you want in life. Because that detail, there was so much faith and like fluid intelligence. You had to be able to just flow and figure it out.
Fluid intelligence, I like that one.
Yeah, man, it's just fluid, man. We flowing. And then after a while, the crazy thing is you get so good at it that you just chill it. Like they're like, and they're like, yo, Godzilla's literally coming down the street. And you're like, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. They're like, where are we gonna go? I'm like, I don't know yet. Hold up. And then you're like, take a left. Cool. We're good. And it's like, this is what we're doing. They're like, literally, hey, you want to go to the Canary Islands? Like now, most EP dudes would be like, we were flying home. They'd be losing their minds. We're just God. Weird. Okay. We're going to land in the Canary Islands in 20 minutes. We won't have cell phone reception because we're not into the towers yet. We'll figure it out. Like that was the game. You know what I'm saying?
I'm almost in tears because I know this is true.
Yeah, right? Man.
And other things were like when I just, sometimes I tell people, I'm like, I cut out 98% because I'm like, you won't believe me.
Yeah, you won't believe me.
I'm like, I promise you, you will not believe what I'm telling you.
Yes, that's what I tell my dude. And we would be sitting there in some crazy place doing something wild, and I'd be like, no one's ever gonna believe me, man. Yo, pass the strip. Pass the strip. No one's ever gonna believe us, homie.
bro. And that's why, bro, I'm like, no matter where life takes us, I'm like, I know we're gonna meet, sooner than later. We're gonna do a lot of stuff together. But I'm like guys like yourself, other guys, I'm like, no matter where life takes us, if we meet in the middle of the desert in 20 years, bro, we'll always have that bond that's inseparable.
100%. It's like a military bond. It's like being in the military again. Honestly, because it just is such a furnace of just proving constantly. Constantly proving, constantly working hard, constantly suffering together and winning together, and it was like living life in dog years and learning to drink out of a fire hose at the same time. And it's like you come back, you leave for like a month or something, you come back, 800 billion things have happened, but at the same time, has changed. It's the same exact place at the same time. And you're like, I know I don't know anything, but I know these core things. So,
And bro, and the tough thing is you are expected to know everything.
Oh yeah.
So bro, so here I am. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to the US. Okay. In fact, I'm going to Hawaii. Mind you, bro, I know nothing, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that flight, bro, was about 36 hours long.
Wow.
So we landed, bro, in LA. Mm-hmm. And I figured, well, of course, I've got to connect for another 6 hours. I've never been to LA. It's intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that airport, it's massive. I'm thinking, okay, so there's nobody to help me. I've got to find a way to sort this thing out. Okay, where must I check in? I've got 4-hour turnaround time before my flight leaves. So I get there, like, okay, well, I've got to check in my luggage. They're like, okay, you got to pay for your luggage. I'm like, hold up, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, you got to pay for your luggage to connect. I'm like, okay. They're like, well, we can't take South African money. You got to, well, of course, you got to exchange the money, but you don't take cash. And you got to now find a way to put it in your bank. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Bro, I spent those 4 hours trying to sort out my currency issues in a foreign country. Everyone's just like, yeah, but okay, no, sorry, we can't help you. You got to go there. I'm just like, so eventually I get to Hawaii, right? Somebody picks me up, who doesn't know me. They're like, he's waiting for you. I'm like, well, great. So, but he's been waiting for you. I think I saw him for like 5 minutes. Like, oh, okay, welcome. Well, there's the guys. See you tomorrow. I'm like, wait, what do you mean tomorrow? I'm the guy. You're like, you flew me out from South Africa.
Yeah.
To be with you.
He's
what
like, go be with you now.
Yeah. You and I not gonna hang out for a while. Like, don't you care how I'm doing? How's my parents?
And it's an interesting world where you have to learn that like the client is like this foundation of your environment. And so you just like exist up here and you just move off of whatever's going on. And if you get too like self-important or you're not able to navigate the social interaction with the other person being the 100% primary, or these foundational social dynamics are huge, because you saw, like I did, guys dropping like flies, and the guys that were there, I think they were supposed to be there because I started with a 13.
And those guys were great agents.
Oh, great. Some of the best agents. I still work with a lot of these dudes, man, because we can do anything. We can take anything. We can solve anything. Yeah. It's like, bring it, whatever it is, man. And it's a brotherhood, honestly.
Yep.
But understand those social dynamics, because we saw guys cooler than us, guys with better backgrounds than me, bigger, stronger, faster, Navy, whatever, astronauts and stuff. Not literally.
Like all the accreditations
like
that the guy that's sitting outside is longing for, those guys had them all.
Yeah, they had all the accolades. Yeah. And it just was like, if you couldn't play the game and didn't have that fluid intelligence and the social dynamics and weren't sensitive enough to know which way the wind was blowing, done training.
Because bro, that wind could blow in any direction. You just gotta set sail and flow.
Right.
That's the only way.
Yeah, man. So hold up. So then you got to Hawaii, and then he was like, you made it. Go be with the other guys, basically.
Yeah,
and then you had to just be like, yeah.
Yep. Man. So in Hawaii, we worked, I think, for 2 nights, and then it's like, okay, next day, we're just gonna hang for a bit. Then it's like, well, Sandy, well, let's go hang out. You and somebody else. Let's just go and just hang out by swimming pool. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, yes, sir. But for me, bro, in that moment, right, I'm still thinking, I'm still serving. I'm still at work. Now he's on vacation.
That's the piece where a lot of guys mess up. I seen this play out. Take the new dude, put him in the pool. And actually later on, this protectee even told me, he's like, I like to take guys out of their environment, put them in a nice environment, watch and see how they are after they relax a little bit.
I've heard that speech.
Yeah, man. And I'm sitting there like, wow, if you don't have the discipline in here, remain in your lane, remain professional. And I mean, I would say one of the most telling and aggressive job interviews I've ever had was actually on this same detail when he had me and my wife come and have lunch with him and the guy I was competing with's wife.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there and he's like, watching the way that our family interaction happens, watching the way everything's going down. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting there like, man, this is so intelligent, And of course, by the grace of God, I have class and manners and understand how to act where I'm at. And the other guy was just more of a tough guy. And, he's like, would you like some salad? I'm like, yes, sir. Thank you. Don't touch my food till he touches it. All
do you know some of the things I've eaten?
Hold on, let me finish this one. And what happens? He hands my dude, would you like some salad? And the guy's like, I don't eat rabbit food. And I was like, you're done.
No, stop.
I was like, you're done. No. I'm sorry, you're done. Like, I was like, I'm sorry that just happened. Like, it's sad.
On the client, you're gone.
Yeah, man. I was just like, well, thanks, I guess, man. And sure enough, man, lights out. I just remember being like, it doesn't matter how cool you are. It doesn't matter how big and bad you are. What'll keep you in this game is understanding the social dynamics. But anyways, you were saying about what you've eaten.
Bro, like I've had, I think, of course, those same offers, he's having something. I'm like, of course, yes, sir. Like, yes, sir. And I'm thinking, what am I eating? Like, I will never leave home to have any of this, right? But because, like what you said, he's the world that we're revolving around. We got to understand that when I say yes, I'm being receptive to his offering, and I'm not accepting the food, I'm accepting him as a person.
Right.
Like this sort of validation that now, or some sort of bond or whatever, for a better word, that's happening in that moment. Because even just for him to be on the table with you and eat with you, for him, it's like, okay, now come into my inner circle for that moment. But remember, it's still fine. Like tomorrow you might not be there, but for now you're here. Enjoy here, right? And then if we're at dinner tomorrow, don't expect to be here. If I don't call you, stay where you are, right? So, and I mean, I've said yes to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. And go ahead.
That on a normal day or to anybody else, I'd be like, no, thank you. And then other person stand. But now because I'm here, I understand that every interaction is still me reapplying for my job.
This is so big, man. This is so big. This is right here. What you just said is so big. And for me, kind of the way I put it to myself was any day could be your last day, so don't forget what you're here to do. Just be very careful, be very deliberate, because we've seen it happen a million times. And so every day we're selling security, always selling security. And I've mentioned it a billion times and I'll keep mentioning it. one of the biggest ways I see guys mess up is they let this stuff go to their heads, and they start thinking, oh, well, I'm the right hand. It's like, nah, bro, you're the flavor of the month. Oh, you're just the new shiny thing. You know what I'm saying? These people get tired of Lamborghinis, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So just
they've worked with guys like you for the past 30 years of their lives.
Yeah, exactly. They have a palate to appreciate fine security services. You know what I'm saying? So they know. And I always would be like, don't ever let it go to your head. Never think that you're special or irreplaceable. Remember, you're here to be professional above everything else. And then remember, I always say, trying to spend time with the principal or the client, it's like trying to have, a pet lion, because the reality is, it might be nice with you. It might be cute, it might be cuddly. But at the end of the day, it can end you just like that. Yeah, man, you step on the tail, you're done, And I think those were some of the values that helped me survive in that world, that and make the play. Just make the play, man. Make it happen. Make it a Truman Show.
That bro, like here, I've worked with some amazing guys. Like I was really fortunate that when I got back home, bro, believe it or not, actually through your Instagram, I met somebody. I think they just saw that now and then. I think you would post something, like if I comment, maybe you'll be like, pow, oh yeah, bro. This guy's like, wait, like, you kind of know Byron? I'm like, yeah, but I didn't say it. I was like, oh, okay, cool, great, man. Like, I follow him on social media. I'm like, okay, awesome. He's like, where you from? I'm like, no, man, I'm from South Africa, Durban. He's like, bro, like, give me your number, let's connect. So this guy calls me up, bro. We start calling. I think our first phone call lasted for 2 hours. We just connected like this.
Outstanding.
Right?
That's beautiful.
He's like, when in Joburg, let's link up. But it so happened that he ended up in my city first, right? So he comes to Durban, like, man, let's do a coffee together. We do a coffee. He takes a picture with his wife. He shows it to his wife. His wife is like, I know Sandile. He was in my church like 10 years ago. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? She's like, he used to serve and do security at the church 10 years ago. But I meet this guy, bro, through your Instagram page, right? And this guy ends up like mentoring me right now. And I'm just like, what the heck is going on?
Right. And I think there's something else to be said for what happens when proper planning meets opportunity. Because this whole thing that you by the grace of God created is happening because you put yourself in the position by being willing to serve, and even for me, the way I got in the industry was, I felt like, my guiding light, I felt like God told me, hey, dude, go bounce at this, bar, and I'm going to make you a bodyguard. And I was like, okay. And I had to go and do it, and my woman at the time was like, you're not going to be a bouncer. Like, no. And God didn't tell you to do that. You're crazy. I'm like, look,
trust me, just this one time.
Yeah, no, I was just like, look, like, I know what that voice is. It saved my life. I just got back from Iraq. Like, it saved my life multiple times. I was like, and I said some Jesus stuff, which was, I didn't even think about it at the time. All I said to her was like, look, I'm going to do this. And all I ask is that when it happens, as I said, it's going to happen, just believe, and then 3 months later, homie, I'm getting interviewed on Rodeo Drive. I'm in the back of a Bentley. I don't want to put my feet on the ground because there's fur, like mink fur on the ground. And I'm like in the back of the car, like somebody they dropped their jacket down here, like I'm trying to be cool. I walk up to, the jewelry store. There's no handle on the door because you can't get in unless you're special. I'm like trying to knock on the door and open the door for my job interview. Everyone's just staring at me. And I'm just like, then the door opens and then the whole thing happens and boom, the world explodes for me. But I just remember being like, how did I get here? I listened and I was willing to serve and I was willing to be faithful with little things. And here we are now on a podcast and all these amazing things that happen, and never thinking that you're too good to do anything, and just controlling what you can control, prioritize, execute. Like you being willing to go save up your money. And I remember you mentioning, like, in passing, like very humbly, like, I'm gonna find a way to meet you guys here or there. And I'm like, Okay.
What do you mean find a way?
All right. Yeah, exactly. Find a way. Like, okay. Well, I hope you're gonna be there, bro. You know, you're our South Africa guy. Like, you got to be there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, just make sure you're there, bro. You know, at the airport again. You know, and I remember those days, man. And the fact that you were doing all that stuff, all that faith, you're able to walk through all those doors. And I'm so proud of you, man. And it reminds me of what, even now, you know, to this day, you know, it doesn't go away. Like, even with the things that I create, you got to be a little bit afraid. It's got to take a little bit of faith. It's got to be right outside your comfort zone. Otherwise, you're not growing. You know what I'm saying? And that is what I've learned, man. And that is kind of the aim for how men that are going to do something have to walk. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I ain't afraid, then I need to find a bigger dragon.
It's almost like I gotta find a way to be afraid.
Yeah. The fear,
like, if I'm not afraid, okay, well, I've been there, I've conquered that mountain. Like, okay, now let's get onto the bigger mountain, right?
Yeah.
So like I think even that afraid story. So through the guy, he ended up being my self-proclaimed mentor. To this day, I still call him my mentor. Mind you, the guy is older than me, right? Because he served just like yourself. You know, he served his special forces, worked for amazing details. It's like, so we connect. It's like, bro, like, I just like you. He's like, well, there's a team I'm currently running in Joburg. So if I've got anything, I'll let you know. If you want to come through, be part of the team, let me know. I'm not great. So, bro, he calls me up. The first time I go there, it was probably one of the most intimidating moments in my life. Really? Because I get there, because remember, right, my previous background is to say, at most, it's like a 4-man team. Right. On a normal day, it's 2 vehicles when you lack on it, you know, but the normal day-to-day operation, it's 1 car, it's you, the client, maybe some
small unit operation, figure it out within your team.
You know, and you're doing things that are outside of your normal so-called EP, right? Because now you maybe taking the car wash, which, you know, some EP guys are too proud to do. You know, you gotta fill, you know, the vehicle, you gotta go to the grocery store with them. But so those small things. So I get on this team, bro. First up, it's like three vehicles, like properly kitted out security vehicles. I roll up, it's like 10 dudes. 2 dudes have just got rifles. I'm just like, hold up. I've never done anything like this, right? So my dude is like, hey guys, meet Sandile, meet everyone's like, cool, let's work. I'm like, sure thing, let's do this, right? So we worked the detail. He started, you know, calling me up almost like every single time they're working. And after a while, we're just like, wait, bro, who is this dude? Like, he's got no military training. Like, we didn't, because all of those guys, most of it, I think like 8 of them served the states together. Right. So we've got a history of working together for like 20 years. They're like, wait, like, we all know each other. We all meet each other at the shooting range once a month. We've served, you know, this dignitary in South Africa, this ambassador. Like, who's this dude, right? And I remember the one time I'm sitting in the car and we had a female protector with us. Amazing, sweet lady, great leader. She's like, oh, so which units did you serve in? I'm like, I'm a corporate guy. She's like, what?
So good. It's so good.
I'm like, I'm a corporate guy. I'm like, I come from corporate. Like, my whole background is customer service and sales. But, you know, a call to be in the industry, when I responded to that, I'm like, these are my strong points, customer service and sales. So every client, my first instinct is, let me give him a customer service experience that he forget in whatever it is that I need to do, whatever activities he's asking him. I remember I was with a client and he was like, no, I'm going to drive myself today. It's nothing fancy. I'm like, okay, yes. So he's driving, bro, and he wants to communicate with somebody via text. So he's like, just hold my phone. I'm going to say something and you're going to type it out for me. I'm like, okay. So he's saying it, but as he's saying this, it's almost like he's angry because he's fighting with this person, right? So I take what he's saying and I tone it down and I kind of change the wording. He's like, okay, you read it back to me just to make sure. I read it to him. He's like, that's a great message. Thank you. I'm like, he's added something good.
Yes.
So for me, bro, it's through those small customer service interactions that I've really with clients or grown on clients and kept being called by guys, because sometimes my dude will be like, bro, like you the guy that's willing to do the things that nobody else wants to do. You want to take the car to the wash. You want to check that the car is prepped. You care that has the client eaten. Like, okay, when we get there, I'm going to be the guy who's going to be speaking to the waitress, making sure everything is good. I'm like, yeah, because I'm that guy, because I know that unlike everybody else, I don't have, I think, the 5 stars of I served in Iraq for so long. You know, I served the president, I served the ambassador. So it's almost like I gotta do what I'm great at, which is customer service, and make sure that that becomes part of what the team's overall vision is, which is to protect the client. But right. Beyond that now, let's also serve the client. Right. While everybody is being the hard person, I'm the guy who's gonna run to the kitchen. I'm the guy who's gonna I'm the guy who's going to do the small things, maybe hand them over to the team leader. So the client doesn't even know most of the times that I'm running around doing the small things, but the work is getting done at the end of the day.
Right. And it makes the value of the team and the team's deliverables more valuable to the client 100%, yep. Because it makes they stay proficient at their goal, whatever their calling is. And it makes everything a higher quality experience 100%. And that, yeah, I think that's the secret sauce, man. That is the secret sauce. And I see it a lot. You know, guys ask me like, well, I don't have a military background. I don't, I wasn't law enforcement or military. So can I still get in this industry? I'm like, absolutely. And in fact, the other thing you said too, that I think is huge, there's so many guys at the top of the game, man, that don't have military and law enforcement background. The other thing I think you said that was huge is your service background. You're like, I'm a corporate guy, and it's perfect, because one of the things I help guys with in my program when they're looking at their resumes and I'm trying to coach them into the industry is, if you have a background in management or service, this is huge as an employer, because then I know you'll have a higher probability of being able to give my client a good experience, because that's already in you, that service aspect's in you. And so put that on your resume, put it on there this way, things like that, man. Because it really does make it makes all the difference. The guys that couldn't do this weren't around as long. What would you say was the hardest lesson you've learned in the field? Start firing a few questions at you.
I think it's 2, right?
Yeah.
One is the client is always right in our field.
Right or wrong. Yep.
And number 2 is don't tell them everything.
Say just enough. Say
just enough and keep it short. Like, get straight to the point. If he asks you a question, answer it and get over it. Don't bring it up again 3 minutes later and say, oh sir, but remember you said no, it's done. Like right. Always right. Live in the moment, do what needs to be done, and then move on.
Right. Because all the extra stuff that people be adding in there to sound smarter, it opens them up to vulnerabilities. Those are handles. Those are more handles. No. And the next thing you know, that client's got you like this. Yeah. And then you have to try to get straight again, straighten it out again, man.
And with that one, but remember, I made this mistake. A client asked something and I knew a bit enough about the topic and I started going on. He's like, oh, I didn't know you're an expert in this field. I'm like,
now you're an expert.
Wow, okay, right? So just say enough and move on.
Yeah, 100%. No, I like that, man. Let's see here. What would you say is probably your proudest moment in the field?
Bro, my proudest moment happened literally about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, outstanding. It's good when they keep going, man. When they keep going.
Bro, like my proudest moment. So there's another Facebook group that I'm part of. A local South African security group.
You're part of another Facebook group, another executive protection.
There's enough for everybody to go around. right?
Executive Protection Lifestyle Facebook group, y'all. Make sure you get in there.
That's the one. Like that's the real deal, right?
It's the real deal. It's more than just a job. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, bro, and it translates into everything that you're doing. 100%. So I'm group, bro, and I'll be honest with you. Like sometimes what I do in the group is like I take stuff that you put somewhere else. I'm like, boom, guys, check out this link. My homeboy said this, right? So, and I used to say some stuff, and somebody contacts me on my DM and Facebook, like, man, like, how are you based? I always see the security stuff that you're all about. Like, give me a call. Maybe I want to use a service. So I call this guy. A day later, I'm sitting in a mansion in Durban. He's like, man, like, I think my dad needs security. I'm like, why? So we start talking. This is a Thursday. He's like, okay, talk about that. Look, on Saturday, in 2 days' time, we've got a function about 2 hours from Durban. And we're a bit concerned, but we don't know anything really. We've decided we need 5 guys. I'm like, okay, we can do that. So I gather my team, we work the detail, ended up being for 2 days. We come back, bro, to Durban. About 2-3 days later, one of the guys who were on the team, they're sitting in a bar about 45 minutes away from Durban, having a conversation with an old friend. And it's like this, yo, how you been, man? How's the lockdown treating you? He's like, I said, my guy's like, no, it's good, man. Been getting a bit of work. Like I'm back in the game. So, and it's like, no, we just, worked with a client for a while. We just did a trip to the South Coast, and he leaves it like that. So the dude in the bar is like, in the South Coast, it's like, yeah, man. And then the dude is like, wait, were you working on so-and-so's detail? So my guy is like, yeah, this week gets crazy, bro. The dude, random dude in the bar, Byron, I promise you, he's like, oh man, like a hit was sent for that client. When our guys went to do the hit, they saw 5 security dudes around the perimeter, bro, and they described us exactly how we were. They're like, oh no, we saw there was a dude dressed like this, a dude dressed like this, there's a tall dude. Bro, at that moment, my guy is telling me this, like 2 weeks later. He's like, oh, just by the way, do you know that we actually stopped something that was going to happen if we were not gonna be there, right? I tell my client this, I'm like, bro, urgent, I need to see you tomorrow. He's like, tomorrow I'm traveling. I'm like, okay, are you at home? I'm coming there right now. I go to his house. I'm like, did you know that this is what's happening in your life, right? And he goes pale. He's like, I've had an idea, but I didn't know the reality of it.
Wow.
And at that moment, I'm like, here we are. We did not, I'm like, I'll be honest, for the first time in my career, we actually stopped something, and there's tangible proof that if we were not there, this was going to happen.
Wow.
So yeah, and that's literally the proudest moment of my life, man. 3 weeks ago, knowing that if we were not there, the client probably at worst would have been dead, best case scenario, lying in hospital.
Yeah, and that I think is a reality of our game that's so important for people to keep in mind, because it's very easy to get sucked into the administrative requirements, the social requirements, all the different things that we have to like manage while we're on the detail, that sometimes you can forget to keep your head up. You can forget why you're really there. You can forget that you're there because people have a threat level on their lives, which motivates them to invest as much money as they're motivated to invest in their safety. And so maintaining that, even though you go to work every day and nothing happens, maintaining that posture, staying ready to react or be proactive, realizing that this is why it's more than just a job. This is why it's a lifestyle. Because in that moment, the only thing that's going to carry you through a combative situation, if you get a chance to fight, is going to be your habits and your skill sets, those hard skills, so it's, I think especially just a word to all the guys out there that have been on the grind forever, that are on the grind. Remember why you're out there. Remember that when you put your shoes on, you're writing a blank check that you might have to cash that day, and pay the ultimate price. Because what we do, it's cool, it's fun, it's beautiful. But the reality is we are combatants, and we are voluntarily putting ourselves in a combative situation possibly at any time. That's a really good one.
And it's so
how many,
easy, bro,
the other thing, dude, is how many times has that happened that we didn't get confirmation? I'm saying, like, how many times has the Reaper just flown over overhead,
Yeah.
and we just had no idea that he was like at the door, and he was like, not today, you know.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Yep.
We'll never know.
You never know. And in fact, a friend of mine asked me about this 2 days ago. He's like, man, you've always like you just secret. He's like, have you actually saved somebody's life? I'm like, yep, 3 weeks ago. I can actually say because of what we did and we're there, we actually saved somebody's life. But for the past 5 years, I haven't been saving somebody's life every day.
Right.
But I've been offering a service, which is why I've been working, right? But I can say now we actually saved somebody's life, and it's a really proud moment, bro.
That's huge, man. That's huge. How has COVID-19 impacted things in your part of the world and the security, industry out there in South Africa?
Bro, it's been really, really tough because when everything went on lockdown, initially only like government officials were working. So private were literally sitting at home. And most of us in the industry work when clients leave home. There's very few guys who are with clients, as to say, 24/7. And that's just the reality, I think, of this industry. So it was bad. Like it was really, 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 really bad. But now things are slowly opening up. I think clients are also just getting that confidence to move around, even though there's still restrictions. But I think what it did then for me is it enabled me, I think, to tap into another aspect of the industry. Like right now, I partnered with a friend of mine based in Durban, and he's got a security company. It's been around for about 7 years, but he's been focused more on the actual like physical guarding element of it, escorting of high valuable cargo and all of that. And I said, look, my core and what I really love is EP, but because of what's happening right now, how can I be of service in your company, right? And I found myself now being active, not so much EP, to be honest with you, because there was no EP happening. But I'm I'm driving to sites. I'm talking to guys on the ground. Now, I said to myself, because EP right now in South Africa is a bit slow, the industry is so vast. How can I grow while not doing EP within the industry? And I find myself doing things I've never done my whole life.
This is a valuable question.
And, I'm doing shift work, 12 to 12. I'm 12. I'm just like, I don't like this. I'll be honest with you. It sucks. But guess what? I'm growing as a person. I'm learning. I'm building thick skin that now when I'm rolling with a client and he wants to work a 10-hour day, I'm like, bro, I've been working 12 hours, 6 days straight. Right. So for me, yes, the industry went down. But personally, what it did is it gave me an avenue to grow to grow within the industry, even though it's not specific, but to grow now as an entrepreneur in the business.
Outstanding. And that the beautiful thing about that is it's a decision to take a perspective that will give you and to choose beliefs and meaning in your situation that will then help you come out of that situation more powerful, more intelligent, more capable, because a lot of people just get bogged down in, this isn't what I want to do. This sucks. And then they stop right there. Like I always say, if you can find the purpose within the pain, you can unlock the potential in the process. It's what we do when we lift weights. We do it because we understand the purpose of it. And then we unlock the potential in that process and then we get better and then we're more valuable. Right. So it's like, you're sitting here, you're looking at all the pieces on the board, and it's a psychological decision to be like, I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to grow from this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to apply myself to this. And then the same like magical principle happens as you're faithful with what you have, you end up getting more, it's that magic. It's the game.
Bro, you see that principle, bro, it's so true because especially in our industry where everybody is an alpha male, right?
Everybody.
Like I've met guys, bro, who rather stay at home and not work because the clients can't meet their perceived rate for the day.
Wow.
I'm like, what do you mean? So if you say, whatever, you're like, well, my daily rate is $200, right? The client is like, bro, I've got 150. Like, no, you can't afford me. I'm like, wait, so you would rather stay at home for 1 week instead of working for that week because your perceived value is X amount and the clients can't afford it. And guys will stay at home and not work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No, walking through all the doors, man, it's a big one, especially when you're trying to build something, like when you're trying to
Yeah.
come up in the game. I tell guys all the time, walk through all the doors, because
Yeah.
really I find, and I think something you've validated through the things you've said, is relationships. That's what's
Yeah.
really going to get you going here. So like, yeah, you might take a day rate that's beneath what you want to get paid, but who are you going to meet when you're on that detail? Who are you going to be able to show the quality of your work product to, that's going to be able to pull you up to another level or put you on the next thing?
Bro, and with that, like I remember I worked a static detail. So remember I told you that at some point I was training people at the gym, right?
Yeah.
So I meet somebody there, he becomes a client and a good friend of mine. He moves to Joburg, and then he can see I'm doing security now, really. A friend of his is an event organizer in Joburg. If the friend is like, look, I've got an event and I need security. This guy calls me, like, look, come to Joburg, somebody needs security. I'm thinking, okay, great. And I go there, I tell them, what the daily rates would be. The guy's like, I've got no budget. Like, you, the last thing on my mind. This is how much I can offer. I'm like, I'll take it, right? At that event, so we worked a static event, nothing fancy.
Yeah, yeah.
Towards the end of the event, bro, I meet the actual event owner, like the guy who's hired the event organizer.
Nice.
Like, hey man, like, are you working with that team? I'm like, yes, sir. Like, those are my guys. He's like, okay, well, give me your number. Maybe one day we'll work. Bro, from that static, that guy's become a personal client. But I made it something I did not want to do, but I had to do it to survive. Right? Now he calls me like, guys, let's roll. I just need 4 guys for the day. Here's 2 vehicles. Here's our schedule, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Sandile, come to Joburg. We're working. I'm doing this. This is my plan, right? But I met that guy literally in the gutters. But I had to be in the gutter first to meet him.
Exactly. And that's the game. Man. You had to be in the gutter to meet him, and then you had to be working, doing a good job, a good enough job for all the guys. Yeah, in the gutter. In that gutter, working, doing a good enough job for him to survey the land, and then you stand up. And you know how it is, like, you're not the biggest, baddest, best dude. So it's your heart, it's your effort, it's what you're doing, it's the way you're doing it. Same with me. Like, I'm not the biggest, baddest dude, but to be able to have people come to you and be like, hey, let's have this guy do it. That comes from that energy of having a servant's heart, man, and being diligent and rendering a good product, being faithful with what you have. That's good stuff, man. That's the message right there. No, I love it.
With the little, bro.
Yeah, man. No, I love it. That's good stuff. So nowadays, moving forward, man, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? What are you trying to build? What are you looking for?
Bro, look, I mean, let's say maybe midterm plans for about 3 years is actually I want to open my own EP school, man, in Durban.
Nice.
Because what I've realized, and I'm not saying this with my face, bro, is the value that like your podcast has. I think life specifically, like I've met guys you've had on your podcast. I've never spoken to them. I've but the stuff they say and I go, I follow them. I mean, guys like Yusuf. Like I live left of bang. But I first heard about that on your podcast. Guess what I did? I went to the book, right? I got the book when I heard about it. Gift of Fear. I heard about it there. The book. There's a couple of others as well, like Elijah's book. I heard about it there. I bought the book. And then I realized that through guys like that, for example, how much the industry, like in America, it's so massive. The schools are like awesome. Like I'll go, I'm just like, we don't have this in South Africa, right? I started connecting with guys. I'm like, guys, I'm looking to do this in South Africa. Would you be keen, to help me out one day? I think I've reached out to you one day. I'm like, bro, like this thing is set up. Would you be interested in coming through, right? So I'm like, my midterm now is to bring. I think I've been blessed, bro, to be where I've been, to do the work that I've done, with no military experience, with no hard ass connection or anything like that, right? I've been very fortunate that when I talk to guys, it's just like, are you serious? So, and I didn't realize that, right? The experience that I have, I think has given me almost such nice rapport locally. I'm just like, okay, well, now let me start connecting with guys locally and let's find a way for me to share this. And other people who walk the walk and saying, guys, let's build something locally that can connect the South African security industry with the rest of the world. So that's my aspiration, man. And then secondly, obviously, I think to tap into now more the corporate side of the industry, because in South Africa, once again, the normal person work for like massive corporates, like your banking sectors and things like that. They don't realize, as to say, the need for security, because our industry here, because of our history, it's still very a hard, like ex-military service. That now I'm like, but there's another way to approach a corporate guy. I can't approach him and say, hey, by the way, somebody wants to kill you. The guy's like, I've been driving home for the past 30 years. I've been driving myself to the office, doing my own thing. So now my language now has changed into, now how do I add value to the customer's operation without me being this hard security guy? Like, can I show him a financial value in having security? And then I came up with something, I call it like a security concierge matrix. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but I said, well, if you are a client and your perceived value is maybe, I don't know, you say in an hour to sit with me, to consult with me, I charge you $300. I say, well, sir, okay, so $300 of your time. So you're saying in an hour, you are worth $300 in essence, right? So if you drive to work for an hour, you are losing access to $300 worth of time, right? If you go fill up your car in a month, you probably spending an hour, moving around between fueling stations. So that's another $300 worth of your time. I did a calculation. I said, if you go to a car wash, bro, like twice a month for 90 minutes, in a year, you're spending 33 hours of your time just stuck in a car wash. Yeah. Right? I say, well, sir, now let's look at that time factor. Let's convert it in US dollars. So you are spending so much time, so much value, currency of your time doing this small thing that you don't have to do, right? With our EP program or EP team, whether it's 2 guys or whatever it is, we can actually take those things away from you and give that time back to you. Now, you can actually use those 33 hours to do more business while we go to do the car wash. You can use those 33 hours to put time back into family, make sure your lifestyle is better. So instead of you now doing these things that you don't want to do, but you have to do them, with our team and our services, we will do those small things for you, right? So now I'm just literally, bro, just having conversations. And I'm trying to build like a fresh client base. Like I say to myself, I don't want to take anybody from somebody else.
Right.
I want to get fresh clients who never had the service. I'm like, I'll come work with you for 2 days for free. Just let me give you a teaser. Let me give you a trial version of what this actually does. Bro, we did that once with a client. He fell asleep in the back of the car, right? So in shock, he wakes up. He's like, wait, Ujay. Like, I feel good. Like, this is what you guys do? I'm like, yes, sir, we give you a peace of mind. He's like, bro, like, if I'm ever doing anything, I'm calling you guys again. I'm just like, that's what we do. He's never had this. He's never seen us shooting at the shooting range, but the service, the simple thing, the opening of the door, yes, sir. Oh, I'll grab your packets. I'll grab the bag. You're going banking. Okay, great. I'll do this. So that service element. So right now, I'm just literally through friends of friends, I'm having conversations and building a fresh client base that I know that maybe in 3-5 years time, when they actually see now the need for hard security, they have no choice but to call me, because I've been having conversations with them for the past 3 to 5 years.
Planting seeds. Yeah, man. No, this is good stuff. And I know in the what you're talking about is being able to help them stay productive and happy, and they call some of this stuff, there's ways to track it, key performance indicators, where it's like, so this is how we put money back in your pocket, because the reality is we don't make money for the client. So it's like, well, what are we paying for? And I actually dropped a field note on this morning, actually talking about this exact same thing, because you know how it is. You've been there with me. About every Christmas, the accounters, the bean counters start looking at the numbers and they're like, where can we trim the fat? And they start trying to cannibalize the EP team, right?
Yeah.
And
So
so
what do these guys do?
yeah, exactly. So what are these guys even doing anyway? So you know, writing down and tracking the amount of hours you drive for the client, writing down and tracking the amount of hours you're doing different things for the principal or the client. Helps you be able to, at the end of that year, say, hey, or quarterly, these are how many hours we've put back in the client's of productivity we've put back in the client's hands. These are how many hours. These are the things we've done, and you know, this is how much money we've saved, or even generated by being able to keep you guys on task with our deliverables. It's good stuff. You're in you're 100% in the right direction, man. You're paving the way out there, and when you get your school up, man. Any way I can help, 100% I'm in. I'm also with my digital school looking for on-ground high quality schools to be able to join forces with. So you can be my guy in South Africa, my man. You know, we run them through the digital stuff, you run them through the on-ground stuff. The other thing is, you know, with the amount of experience we got from that time, you know, I didn't go to a school until like 7 years into the industry. And then when I was at the school, even, you know, I was kind of like, well, I mean, you know, like, let me this is really easy compared to what I've been doing, you know? And it was a great school, don't get me wrong, but I just remember being like, man, this is not the EP I knew. And ours is more like a guerrilla warfare, ultra fluid, 1 to 2 men, small unit, figure it out, you know, no big formations or any diamonds or squares or any of that. It was just really a different guerrilla warfare type of way of doing things. That's why I call my product the training day, because you remember this, you get a new guy gets in the chase and it's like, hey homie, this is your training day. This is how you survive. This is what it's really like. Forget about your little idea you had about how this, just forget about it. This is what it's really like. It's not like this. Yeah, it's like this, homie. This is exactly
what it is like this. Just bro, I think my famous words is just trust me.
Yeah. Trust me, do what I do, say what I say, you can have what I have. The second you think you're too smart, you're gonna be done. It's gonna be over. You know, I remember just trust me and roll with me. I got you. Because that's how the private security is. The private industry is. Your client can fire you for wearing the wrong shirt. You know, for chewing, you know, gum at the wrong time. I've seen these things. Does he smell like a mechanic? I don't think so, sir. He smells like a mechanic. Get him out of here. Done. So, you know, like that happens. Christian West said it can be one of the most unfair industries in the world. Guys that I would go to war with at my side, you know, don't make it because of all these things we've discussed.
Social. So I mean, I think there's a term. I think you call it social
dynamics, man.
Something like that.
Social dynamics, you know, and cultural equity. You know, these are some really important things, man. I learned even more about you and the sacrifices you made during this conversation, man. I could sit here and talk with you all day. And I really, Sandile, you've dropped us so much wisdom during this.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Interview, my man. It's good to catch up, and it's good to be here, you know, in these positions, because you know where I come from. I know where you come from. I've watched your struggle. You've seen me struggle, and you know, now you got your thing going, and you're doing your thing, you know, and I got my thing going. So it's a beautiful time.
But I think, bro, I think the way things are shaping up.
Man.
I think I'm gonna see you. I think sooner than later. I'll be honest with you. I've been the one kind of like almost avoiding it, you know, because I'm just trying to set up my own thing locally. You know, like, well, I'm just like, I just need about a year. Just give me a solid year to really establish. But you know, with that, I still keep very open contact lines. You know, I still make contact and all of that, bro. Because for me, what lost in our industry, bro, it's that personal touch, because most guys, they fall out of a detail, they never contact anybody on the detail, they never even if they were in direct contact with the client, it's not like, hey sir, just happy birthday, sir, Merry Christmas. That's just like, well, we no longer work together and we're done. But little do they know that's still a human being, right? You just being there, taking those 10 seconds, be like, happy birthday, sir, if you know his birthday, or Merry Christmas, sir. If he needs something at that moment, he sees who really cared for him, not just for the job.
Right. Yeah. And it's humanizing. And it's
Yeah.
professionally humanizing too. It's right. It's those things that are still in the lane of professionalism that show you're paying attention and they're human. Those are the shots you want to take, you know?
Yeah.
I love it, man. That's good stuff. Do you have anyone in your neck of the woods that you would recommend to be on the podcast? Because I'm trying to branch out. I want more international guests, you know?
You know, bro, I've literally got somebody like my mentor in mind, right? But
yeah,
the thing is with the industry in South Africa, and I think this is one of the things that I'm trying to do, is become more vocal about the industry. Like, guys, this is what we do. Because the normal person in the street has no clue. Like in our industry, it's still the hush, don't tell anybody what to do, man. Like if somebody else, you know, just tell them you're a fitness guy at the gym. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a cross-producing agent. This is what I do. And through that, bro, Byron, do you know how many people I've met who just like, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And so right now, I'm just trying to have conversations to really get the industry out there. I mean, I'll reach out to the guy. I'll definitely reach out to him, like, look, bro, like, you know, Byron would like to have you, on board to the podcast. But most guys are still like, hey, man, like, I don't really know.
No, I get it. It's a silent professional thing. I have to overcome it all the time. There are so many people I need to still interview for this podcast, and I'm just like making the rounds, not fast enough, because I know they're sitting there and they're like, yo, how come Byron never hit me up to be on his podcast, man? I know they're sitting there like, you must not like me. Right? Yeah, I mean, I'm just doing the best I can, because one of the things I was afraid of when I started this thing is like, man, I'm gonna run out of guests, I'm gonna run out of content. But it's like, no, there are so many amazing people in this industry that are just in corners of the world that are just doing a great job, that have so much to give, you know. So finding them and teasing them out amongst even the rock stars, there's a bunch of rock stars I haven't gotten to that have a lot to give too. So it's awesome, man. It's amazing. It's amazing.
And I think, bro, if you ever feel like I think you're running out of steam, bro, just, man, like I'll tell you, like during our hard lockdown. Yeah. In fact, well, I'm not at home right now. During our hard lockdown, bro, I had a book, like A4 size book, bro. Like during a hard lockdown, I would literally get in front of my laptop, go on your YouTube channel, watch a podcast, and take notes. Man. Every day I'm going to school.
From this podcast.
Oh yeah, bro, I've got a notebook.
It's an awesome honor, man.
Right, and then I'll go through them. I'm like, okay, I don't really understand this. Okay, maybe, you know, let me park this. I'll you know, maybe somebody else would mention it. You know, then I'll get back to it. Like, and I'll take notes, bro, because I'm just like, there's so much value in what you do, and you will never know it. Like you will, bro. Like the ends of the world that you've reached, bro. I think I told you the one time I went for a training course in Serbia.
Really?
Yeah, and I met a lady there. I don't know how you ended up in conversation. It's just like, no, I'm part of this, you know, this page on Instagram, on Facebook, and I follow this guy on Instagram. You know, EP lifestyle. I'm just like, you follow what page? You know, I'm like, that's my dude. She's like, you know him? I'm like, she's like, you have no idea how much value he's added to my life.
Man, wow.
So, bro, like if you ever feel like you're running out of steam, just grind it out, man. Call somebody you've had before. I mean, there's always more.
Yeah, like, there's always more.
You can, you know, talk to the same person about a totally different topic. So just don't, man. Like we need this in the industry, man. Just don't stop.
Outstanding, brother. That means a lot, man. That's good stuff. It's always good, especially coming from someone that knows you too, man. That means the world, brother. I appreciate that. Good stuff, man. What would you say about, let's see here, last few closing questions. Favorite quote, favorite mantra, saying?
Favorite quote, I forgot who said it, but it says, the problems we face now cannot be solved at the same level we were at when we created them.
Yes, I love that quote.
For me, bro, it's, you know, and in short, it just says, look, if there's a problem, you got to level up to sort it out. Like you can't be the mindset if you the problem out. Yeah.
100%. And I think one of the big, you want a higher quality life, got to make higher quality decisions. You want to make higher quality decisions, you need higher quality information. You know, like for one of the things that grew me up real quick is when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was like, I'm not that smart. Like I need to, like, I'm just not that smart. Like I need to be able to get smarter. And it was like audiobooks. It's like, well, if I can listen to someone who solves problems up here, you know, who's the leader in this industry, who's, you know, this guru that has these solved higher quality problems, I can digest and integrate their intelligence. And then all of a sudden, this problem I'm dealing with down here in my 20s is like a slow Tuesday, you know, and I can listen to like 18 of these guys inside of a couple months and really have a completely elevated perspective. Perspective dictates performance. And I can perform 100 times better. And I can then be honored by having to solve higher quality problems, you know, and that's the game.
And the crazy thing, bro, is those problems that you're solving, you find that you're solving some of them doing EP work, but they're not EP related. But you've the psychological ability now. You've got even the mental and the emotional ability to solve those problems.
100%. Yeah. The war, EP, it's weird. Like your vocation in life, a lot of the principles completely cross over. Because then, you know, the stuff we dealt with just made it so that when normal life stuff happens, you're just kind of like, you know, it's like, this is like low stress. I can move at my own speed. You know, it's like, okay, cool. We'll figure it out. This is nothing, you know? Oh man, it's good.
I've been through worse. That's always that for me. Like I've been through worse, right? It's like, and every problem for me now, it's like I've been through worse. I mean, I just remember the story. I remember I was working, you know, with a client in West Africa. I was working with I'm actually gonna say his name, with Wes, you know, good friend of mine, Wes Murray, right? Okay, and we get it out of the venue. The motorcade is there. There's a crowd, and the local drivers panic. This is in the middle of Nigeria. We've never been there, right?
Yeah.
Bro, they panic. They start the motorcade and they leave us behind. Yeah, and we see our clients rolling. Like we're like, wait, the cars are leaving us, bro. We like, this is
like your security detail is leaving.
Yes, the local security said we are 2-man team,
and these are the locals, so the locals kind of know what's up.
Yeah, right. And we just, like these stories people don't believe. I'm like, we in the middle of nowhere, and we just start running on the road because we just saw the motorcade go that way, right, bro? So we're running. This cop car comes through. We're like, help! They're like, what do you want? I'm like, damn, we security. They're like, oh, jump in. I'm like, okay, sure thing. I jump in the car, bro, and I just see, this, buddy of mine I'm working with running on the side of the road. I'm like, bro, jump in. I'm like, bro. So we jump in. I'm like, we have a problem. So I tell the cops, I'm like, look, we're working with that team, with those vehicles, get us there. The cops do the sirens things, bro. They, by God's grace, there wasn't much traffic. They navigate through, bro. As the motorcade stops, right? Mm-hmm. My buddy, he runs, he grabs the client's door. As the door unclicks, he gets there like half a second and he opens the door. The client's like, oh, thank you.
The client had no idea.
No idea, right? And I'm just like, we just had a serious problem, right? And we had to level up by not thinking we're stuck. There's nothing we can do. But by us now deciding, okay, the problem is here, our motorcade left us. So for us to level up, let's run somewhere. Somebody is going to see us taking action, and then they're going to help us, right? But if we stand still, nobody's going to help you.
Right. Yeah.
So, oh man.
You got to make moves, man.
We've got to make moves, right?
Yeah,
we can level up or, find the next level in order to the problems that you had.
It's kind of that whole never give up thing. It's like there's always a way. If I'm still breathing, there's a way. If I'm still in the fight, there's a way. And I gotta find that way. And you're looking around and you're just looking, trying to figure it out, And that's the way we do what we do, man. That's good stuff. How would you like to be remembered, my friend? What's it all for?
Oh God.
Right?
Bro, I honestly, I think twofold. In the industry, I want to be remembered as a pioneer in Africa. in the sense of bringing that professional aspects to the industry, bringing that customer service element, bringing that service element, to the point where I'll even, like to even change some of the material in the courses that we run, because they don't cover things that have to do with customer service and emotional intelligence and all of that, right? So I want to be a pioneer in changing our industry from being, it's all about the guns and the shooting of everything. Those things are good and well, but let's make our schools more professional, that we can serve the normal person on the street, right? Yeah. And then I think as a man in general, and I think I want to be remembered as a man of great faith. I think as who walked with God, who trusted God, who spoke things and they happened because he believed, in the God that he professes to believe.
Yeah. Man, it's so beautiful, man. It's such good stuff. Sandile, man, it's an honor, bro. It's such an honor, my man. It's so good. So good, man, knowing where we come from and where we're going and where we are, and I see you doing that 100%. You have the edge, you have the ability, you have the intelligence, you have the experience, hands down. It took me a while too to really know, because we were so young. I started when I was 21 to really understand what I had, and then I got out into the game and the industry. Yeah. And I started seeing how other guys are operating. I started looking at the amount of experience and abuse they've had, and I'm like, I'm like, man, like that's it's a slow Tuesday. Like, that's a half day. Like, oh, you think this client's hard? I'm like, homie, I'm like, life is good. Yeah. We're killing it right now. And then I started to realize, and I started to look at the effectiveness of the tools we had to sharpen coming up where we came up in the game. And I started being like, man, I got a mad edge on a lot of these dudes, and climbing up in companies and climbing up in the other details. And I started being like, you know what, granted, at that time I hadn't been to the biggest and baddest schools, but I was like, this is like a doctrine. Like, what we understand is a body of information that can help guys operate at some of the highest levels. And that's what caused me to build my school too, man. I just was like, this is a whole, and I went to a few schools, and I went to the big schools eventually. And I started being like, yeah, okay. Like, I actually have a body of information and experience inside me that we can't let die with us. And we've been given it for a reason, and that reason is because we're the guys that are going to pay it forward to the game, to the industry. And for some guys, it'll be awesome. And for some people, it won't fit them. But I think neither of us will shirk or waste the responsibility and opportunity to pay that experience forward and improve the quality of the industry, for sure.
Man, and bring in, I think, good quality protectors who want to be in this industry.
Yeah.
Because I think, sorry, man, and I think for us as well, locally, a lot of guys almost do this as their last resort. Like, doctor wants to be everything else. I couldn't do it. Oh, let me go try security. Right. So I think my mission is to really go out there and get people who want to be here from the onset. We're trying to work on programs now. We actually want to go to high schools and say, you want to go to university, but here's another career path that you can actually take that can be really, really fruitful. Like, not everybody is going to do well in school for them to get a degree in psychology, but you can actually get out of high school, go to an EP school, get a qualification, and come do this on a full-time basis. So those are one of the things that we just really just trying to work on now, and hopefully I think once the whole COVID lockdown thing is over, we can start rolling
it back at it. And it's such an amazing career, man. I could not imagine the ways I've been blessed being able to do the things we've been able to do. You know what I mean? Like, no one will believe us type stuff, like the things we've seen, eaten, experienced, places we slept, flown around in, drove around, and it really, when it works out, it's one of the most amazing careers, man. I really couldn't ask for more in a lot of different aspects, So we've been blessed, brother. We have been blessed. Yeah. Good to go, man. Well,
dude, we did it.
right, and it keeps going. No, I love it, by the grace of God, man. Yeah. Well, it's been an honor talking with you, Sandile, man. It's good to see you doing good. Thank you, brother. I'm glad we're connected, and I'm looking forward to everything we're gonna do, my friend.
No, thank you, bro. I think thank you for it. And I mean, I know you personally, but this is an honor. To be here, bro. Because some of the guests that you've had, I'm just like, there's people who've been doing this 35 years on a full-time basis. And, and they're here on this podcast. I remember when you asked me to join, I told my mentor, I'm like, bro, guess what happened? He's like, I'm like, bro, Byron hit for the podcast. It's like, no, you're lying. And I said to him, I showed them, I'm like, bro, this is the message from Byron. Like, I'm going to be there, right? So I don't take this for granted. No, thank you, man. I appreciate it, bro. And yeah, just keep up the good work. And I'm sure we're going to connect, I think, sooner than later. And I think just for the other guys as well, guys, the world is opening up, South Africa, if it's a destination for you guys, I mean, let's link up, let's connect, even just on social circles, just information, man, that you guys coming out to South Africa, hit us up, say, look, I'm going to be in this city, what's on the ground, what's happening. I mean, you guys have got great sources of intelligence, through your various agencies, but nothing beats what's happening on the ground 3 seconds ago. And I know that,
Yeah.
So
you always got to find a mayor.
We're here to help you guys out, man. Whenever you want to, come through South Africa, anybody, that's part of this podcast.
100%. Yeah. So where can people find you, brother? Shoot me links afterwards, and I'll attach those all to the bottom of this podcast. But where can people find you, man? Are you on LinkedIn, IG?
Instagram is really, I think, my big platform right now. So it's one, so it's my name and then just the number 1. That's me. And then LinkedIn is just my name and my surname. Facebook is just more personal. So it's just really IG and LinkedIn. Nice.
And text me those links. I'll put them at the bottom of the write-up for sure, so everyone can follow you.
Perfect.
All right, Sandile, it's been an honor, my dude. It's been an honor. It's an honor for me to have you as well, my man.
Thank you.
And thank you, brother. We'll talk soon, I'm sure.
All right, man. Keep safe.
Boom. Yo, if you're a private security professional wanting to take your game to the next level, go to executiveprotectiontrainingday.com to check out my personal success package for private security professionals. Check it out, executiveprotectiontrainingday.com. And remember, y'all, hard skills do save lives, but soft skills get you paid. Boom. Boom. And to support this podcast, go to executiveprotectionlifestyle.com and contribute to our Patreon account. That Patreon account is what helps me make this podcast possible, contributing to this brand, what we're doing here, making it so that I can bring better guests on, making it so that we can plan more events and just expand the contribution to the private security industry, and also to making America a safer place. Do whatever you can, contribute whatever you can, because it makes all of these things possible. Thanks for those contributions. Yo, and before we go, I got a shout out to the sponsors, starting out with Primary Weapon Systems, PWS. They truly are the evolution of the rifle. Use Byron for 10% off. Grayman and Company, the most comfortable tactical suits in the game. Use Byron for 10% off with them. Ballistic Theory. You're going to start seeing a lot of stuff with me in Ballistic Theory because they got good ammo for good prices. Use Byron for my discount with those guys as well. Last but not least, Executive Protection Institute. Hey, go check them out and get your executive protection education on. Until the next podcast, this is Byron Rodgers, protector by nature and by trade. Out.